That's just kind of silly. When I was a little kid, I used to have, I mean, I was born in 1977. I'm 36 years old. And when I was a little kid, did you have Atari in Singapore? Yeah, like the joystick, the Atari games. So I used to collect all of the game cartridges for Atari. And when I was making my demo cassette, my best friend Mike at the time, he was my friend with a car. I didn't have a car because I was only 15, and he was taking me to a place to make some copies of the J card, the insert for the cassette, so I can give my demos to people. And I didn't have a band name, and I was going to make the demo. And he's like, "Man, I've got to go home. My mom's gonna ground me if you don't hurry up. I can't give you a ride." And then he looks down, and I have a giant box of like 500 Atari cartridges, and he goes, "Just call it the Ataris, and let's go." So I was like, "Okay." But I think the only cool thing about the name, because I feel the music has grown a lot and the name's kind of dated. The name's kind of silly, but Atari in Japanese was something that the fighter pilots would say, like, prepare to be attacked, like, Atari, you know? So that's I think, the one redeeming quality of the name. But at the end of the day, you know, you outgrow a name, but we can't change it now because people associate this band with it. So it's a brand, yeah, right. So it is what it is, you know, and we try to not let that hinder our music's growth. You know, we try to grow around the band name. I think it's a little of both. I think, you know, having some distance when you go home and making sure that you have your, because, you know, we're all, for the most part, you know, we're grown-up age, you know, we're not teenagers anymore, so we definitely have our lives at home. And I think having that distance and space when we go home, and then coming together when we rehearse, and then having the time together when we're on tour, it makes things like way more passionate and way more like fun. But same like with my relationship at home. Like, I go away for a while and then I come home and things are great. And then you're at home all the time and you're like, okay, I'm waiting to get on the road. It's a constant, you know, bipolar life cycle. You know, it's off and on and off and on. But that really feeds the chemistry, because I mean, when you first get out there, your first show, maybe your second show, it's a little loose, a little rough. And then by the 5th or 6th show, you can guess what the other guy's gonna do, and you're watching each other. It's like jazz musicians. It's like you're watching each other's vibe, you know, and that's really cool. No, we're not. They're not that good. But I mean, it's the same thing. We can sometimes like make little changes, and just by looking at each other. And I think good bands can do that, and that's one thing that this band has. And I mean, Eric has only been playing in our band now for what, 6, 7 shows. And we had 2 weeks to rehearse before we went on this tour, and every day, you know, we'd go down there, me and him would rehearse, I'd show him the drum parts for all the songs in the set, and then they'd come at the end and we would practice with, and then they'd also practice when I wasn't there. So it's good, you know, we have a chemistry, it works, and yeah, but spending time together though, I think too much time together with anyone, I think, can hurt the chemistry. You know, you gotta have a little distance. Like for the last 2 days, they flew here, I flew to Bangkok and took a train all the way through Thailand and Malaysia just by myself, clear my mind, like a meditation or something, you know. It's just, but just looking out the window, that sometimes is really great for, you know, the chemistry, I think. Well, I think ultimately, the thing is that with a lot of bands, generally, you know, there's a lot of teamwork involved, and we are very much on a lot of levels a team. Like when it comes to loading, this guy is like, just kills it. You know, he's always like, and when it comes to like, everyone has their strong points, you know, but at the end of the day, we all come together, and you know, musically, you know, we're all strong players. We all try to be the best players, and I think the good thing is they push me to be a better player, and I think vice versa. You know, we really complement each other in that way. But I think a lot of bands that start out, maybe you don't, you know, you just start, when you start a band, you make a band with maybe a few of your friends, and you build a house on like a shaky foundation, meaning that you get out on the road and suddenly you realize, okay, that guy has a drug problem. Okay, that guy is kind of like, has an attitude, you know, and so you just work around those things. But with me, this was always something that was my dream in my life, so I just kept going, and there were a lot of lineup changes with the band, but ultimately I feel the band has only gotten stronger, and now with the 4 of us, you know, everybody is very, you know, minimal drama. Everybody, we all have our weird quirks, but at the end of the day, we all play good together, we get along. I mean, I don't know, what do you guys want to add?
I like you guys.
I like you guys too.
It's a really strong lineup, and everybody's really easygoing, and that's why we're able to stay together. I think a lot of bands don't stick together is because, like you said earlier, they get all this crew, and they get home, and at the end of a tour, they don't have any money, and they have a bus and all this junk that they don't need. And that's why their shelf life's so short, because they can't handle it.
Another thing, you see it a lot. You know, once bands play for a while, once people reach their like late 20s, they kind of give up. Like, oh man, what am I doing with my life? I need to go to school. I need to get a real job. You know, this is not the life for me. But I think, you know, for all of us, this is something we've all done long enough that it's something we've all stuck with. It's our passion. And I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, and one final thing. I mean, you really have to stay focused too, because I think also a lot of people get kind of jaded. You know, like if some bands, you know, I think our band in 2003, I saw it happen with some of my friends that were playing in the Ataris at that time. You get a little taste of excess, not success, like excess. Like you get, you know, everybody is taking care of you and all this stuff. And to me, that was the most difficult time, because I never really wanted that. It's nice to have sometimes when you show up and you have a nice hotel or something. It's a reward. But at the end of the day, all that really matters is going out and playing music and trying to keep it as humble and down to earth as possible. Because, you know, if you let this go to your head, you just always got to remember there's thousands of kids out there that would love to be doing what you're doing. And I always just remind myself that you know, I'm still the same person coming from the same small town, and I just happen to get lucky, and I feel very blessed to do what we do. And
well, I always think of it as just being really lucky just to get to hang out with like my best friends and travel everywhere and get to do something we all enjoy doing together. And then also, I think a lot, almost every day, about how like we're really lucky. You know, like a lot of people would love to do this, and we get to. And yeah, it's just something where you have to remind yourself never to take anything for granted, because it's worth it to live for now. You know.
I think the only goal we have is to try and be as humble as possible and just go out and bring our music to all of the parts of the world that may not get the chance to see our band. You know, growing up in, well, at least Brian and I growing up in small towns in the middle of America, it was really hard. You really had to search out and find music, and that's always just been kind of my goals to go and bring the music to all those small places of the world, because I know that, you know, we're every night in California, in Los Angeles, you can go out and see an amazing concert, but there are a lot of small cities where people don't get that opportunity. So that, and then just try to write the most harshest kind of personal lyrics, and really try to keep things really organic and natural. And you know, we've always been a band that pride ourselves on not using like all of the computers and auto-tune and all that stuff, and really trying to keep things recorded organically. And you know, we record all in analog tape still. We try to keep the music real, and not, you know, 2 guitars, bass, and drums. There's no, what you hear live is just us. There's no backing tracks. There's no crazy, you know, anything like that. I feel is a bit excessive. And then on a step further, you know, we also try to not bring any crew or management. We don't have management. We don't have any of that stuff. I mean, I don't want to medal for that or anything. I don't feel like, you know, we're special, but I do feel like for us it works, and it's something that is what the band is about. Is less is more. And in this economy too, in the world, it's so much better to tour that way, because, you know, you actually come home and you make a little money, and you don't have to pay a bunch of people for standing around and doing nothing, you know. We'd like to thank everyone at Snowbird Productions for bringing us to Singapore. We're really honored. We also just did some great tours in Philippines and China. We're taking a little break, and then the Ataris go to Europe and the UK in April and May. If anyone wants to check out tour dates, if there are any expats here that see this and you want to come to see us in Europe or UK, the dates are at facebook.com/The Ataris. And if you want to download some free music, the 4 songs that she mentioned, you can go to theataris.bandcamp.com. It's bandcamp.com. And that's there's some new music, and there's also an acoustic album and a live album that are all free. They're donation if you want to donate, but otherwise just check them out. And thanks for listening. Thanks for bringing us to Singapore. We're very honored to be here.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.